It's me, MLB. Here's chapter 31 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled Inspection. Back to the other house you went, keeping quiet while Dabi made calls to various people during the bus trip. After hanging up the phone from the final time, he grinned at you and slung his arm around your shoulders, proudly pulling you into his side. "Stop acting a weed, you weirdo," you teased, giving him the side eye while he smiled proudly to himself. "I'm going to be the man of a house soon," he said, to no one in particular, as he looked straight ahead. "Okay, you could be the man, I'll allow it. You have my permission to say that you're the man," you replied smartly. "Thanks," he said, then paused as he realised that he'd been duped. "Hey, wait a minute." You cackled, your laughter being smothered by him as he dragged you into his chest for a cuddle. After suffocating face first into his shirt, you stopped giggling and looked up at him. "Are we really going to get this place? I don't want to get my hopes up," you said sadly. "Of course, baby. I'm going to get us this place. No question about it," he replied confidently. "What makes you so sure?" you asked quizzically. "'Cause I'm Dabi, that's why." He leered. You poked your tongue out at him, and he quickly licked it with his own tongue, making you blush with surprise. "Ew!" you gasped. "That's gross, wee head," you teased. He grabbed your chin and pulled your face up to his, initiating a passionate tongue kiss. "What's the difference between me licking your tongue and us tongue kissing?" he asked. "Riddle me that, huh?" "Question time is closed," you replied in a playful, indignant tone, pulling your face away from his. "Hey," he said as he grabbed your face again and made you look him in the eye. "You're my favourite person to annoy." You blew him a raspberry and giggled as he squished your cheeks. "You're my favourite asshole." "You know who has my favourite asshole?" he leered. "No, we're not doing this." "I'm going to do it in the kitchen." "Stop!" Rail you over the rails. "We're in public." "Bathe you in my—" "Shh!" you hissed vehemently, slapping your hand to his mouth. "You're gross." "And you love it," he replied between your fingers with a chuckle. Just then the bus stopped at your station and you both scrambled to get off, trying to be first to get off before the other. You won. "The Bureau's rule," you stated proudly as you marched ahead of him, while he walked along behind you with an amused smirk on his face. You made your way to the house and stopped at the gate, smiling back at him excitedly. "You ready, baby?" he asked as he strolled up beside you, his turquoise eyes gazing down at you as you bounced a little on your feet. "Yep," you squeaked with excitement. Dabi looked up as the agent approached and gave her a big smile. "Sorry to call you back here so quickly, but we've decided on a second viewing," he said, with a knowing smirk pulling at his lips. "Oh, not at all. We've always loved second viewings," she said with a polite smile. "I'd also like to have this place assessed." "Oh, but of course, we can have our own inspector approve this house," the agent said with a bright smile. "I have an inspector coming soon. Our own inspector," Dabi replied, holding back a look that to you screamed checkmate. The agent paled slightly, but gave him a hollow smile to hide her hesitancy. Not a problem," she smiled weakly. "That's not an issue. When are they arriving?" Just then a car pulled up on the curb and a man stepped out with a clipboard, smiling at you, Dabi, and the agent. "All right now," Dabi said with a smirk as he raised a hand at the newcomer. "Oh," the agent replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Good afternoon, all," the inspector greeted as he walked over to you all. "Is this the house in question?" He gestured to the house. "It is," Dabi replied with a smirk when he saw the look of thinly veiled fear on the agent's face. "I wonder when the last time was that this house had an inspection," he thought. The inspector stepped forwards and passed the agent at the gate. "You don't mind if I go ahead and have a look, do you?" he asked the lady. Not at all," she replied with a laugh laced with concern. "Feel free to ask if you need me for anything." "I will," he replied as he stepped forwards and down the path, clicking into inspector mode. You glanced at the very smug-looking Dabi, who had started to follow suit, happily trailing the agent as she meekly followed the inspector into the house. Once inside, you peeled off to have a look in the rooms downstairs again, mentally planning out where you would put things. The agent tried not to look too worried, but Dabi could see her agitation growing each time the inspector's pen hit the paper on his clipboard. Discreetly, she tried to text her realty, probably asking questions about when the last time the house had been checked for stability and livability was. "So," Dabi said loudly as he stepped over to her, "we're tossing up between a few places, and there's one that suits us much better than this house, but if we could get it at a good price, we'd consider taking it." He baited. She looked up at him. What price were you considering?" she queried. $150, he replied casually, like he hadn't just asked for a whole $60 off the rent payment a week. The poor agent choked on her spit and cleared her throat hurriedly, tapping her chest while she did so. I will have to talk to the owners, but this is a very lovely house, so I do think you and your partner would suit this place very well. I wouldn't want you to miss out on such a wonderful opportunity. Yeah, well, if this place doesn't pass the inspection, Dabi said casually, looking away and scratching his scarred cheek as he left his comment open-ended. Whatever do you mean? This house is problematic, Dabi asked as he noticed the inspector tapping on the walls. The agent swallowed thickly and stepped away from Dabi, holding her phone up. Just let me make a quick call, she said, glancing at the inspector once again. Dabi smirked and turned back to you. We have the place. I can feel it, he said lowly, before walking over to the inspector. What's the prognosis, Doc? He asked smugly. The inspector tapped the page that he had been writing things down on with his pen, then looked up at Dabi. It's looking good for you, not so much for those who are trying to rent the place out, he said. Perfect. Dabi sneered with amusement. How much do you think I could get off? A whole lot, the inspector replied. I'd offer them $120 a week and then haggle from there. Dabi nodded and thumbed his nose before glancing at the real estate agent who had stepped outside by now and was talking in a hushed, vexed tone to someone on the phone. She knows she's in for it, right? Dabi said to the inspector. I'd say so, the inspector replied, glancing at her as well. You walked out of the front room and stopped when you saw both guys giving the agent outside a sly look. Dabi, you called, jerking your head to get him to come over to you. What's up, sexy? He asked as he strolled over with his hands in pockets. What are you doing, you suspicious bastard? Not doing anything. Swear on my grandma. She's rolling in her grave right now, I can see it. She's reaching for a sandal, she's about to beat your ass for lying on her name. Dabi winced and pulled a hand out of his pocket and tenderly rubbed his ass. Yeah, felt that. Now, tell me what's happening. We're about to get this place dirt cheap, Dabi said with a sexy smirk. Told you, leave it with me. How bad is this place, though? Like, is it going to fall apart on us? Hope not, Dabi deadpanned, then quickly let you know it was a joke. Chill, baby, chill. I'm kidding. No, for reals, I'm about to beat your ass, you growled. Babe, please, don't buy us anything stupid. This is by far the best place of the three we've seen, he said, looking up and over your head and out the window. Give me a second, I'll be back. You looked over his shoulder to see what had piqued his interest and noted with a worried look on your face that he had seen the agent that had stopped talking on the phone. So, Dabi said with a casual confidence as he walked out and approached her, we'd offer $120 a week for this place. $120? The agent spluttered. That's absurd. No, it ain't, and you know it, Dabi replied, giving her a haunty look. She narrowed her eyes at him a little and then turned to call out to the inspector. Sir, do you mind if I have a look at what you've written so far? The inspector nodded and walked out, handing her the clipboard. The further she read down the page, the more pale she became, and the more her jaw clenched and unclenched. I just need to make another call. Please excuse me, she said in a soft, defeated voice, calling her boss again. She walked away as the boss answered the phone, and Dabi gave the inspector a snarling, devious smile. Got him, he said lowly. It'll cost a bit to do up, the inspector replied. There are a lot of jobs around this place. It's not a problem, though. All we got to do is write complaints to the landlords and they fix the problem, right? Win-win for us, Dabi said smartly. Just then the agent reappeared back on scene. The landlords have decided to sell, she said numbly. Is that so? Dabi commented sarcastically. I wonder why. Are you interested in buying the place? The agent asked. Give me a second, Dabi said calmly, turning and walking back inside the house to find you. Hey, babe, he called up the stairs. Yeah? You called back, having been standing in the main bedroom trying to visualize where everything would go. We're going to buy this place, he shouted. We what? You hollered back. We can't afford to buy. What if we got the parents involved? Yours and mine, to go guarantor. Dabi called again, smiling broadly when you appeared at the top of the stairs. I don't know. All we can do is ask. What do you say? He said. I say it probably is going to be a no, but we can ask anyway. Okay, he said, and then turned away and walked back out to the inspector and agent while you started slowly descending the stairs. How much do you want for the place? Dabi asked the agent. 300,000, she replied quickly. Bull. Make it 210K. Dabi shot back. I cannot negotiate on their behalf. I'll have to put it to them, she replied professionally. Yeah, you go do that, Dabi said smugly, and give them the inspector's notes as well. I look forward to hearing from you. He turned and walked smartly away, heading back inside and leaving the inspector to hand over to the agent what he had written. We're going to get this place, Dabi said with low-key excitement as he grabbed your hand and dragged you down the last 2 steps into his arms. Let's go now and talk to Mum and then you folks. Wait, now? You sure? You asked. Dead sure. We gotta go. He started dragging you to the front door, marching with purpose to the veranda, and then off to the front gate. Thank you, you called to the agent and inspector, who was still standing there. Sorry, he's on a mission. Mum, Dabi called as he got home and slammed the front door open. We found a place. We're going to buy it, but we need you to go guarantor. Where is this place? Ray asked as she walked out from the laundry room and down the hall to the front door. Hi, Ray, he said with a smile. Please excuse him. Ray smiled and gave you an apologetic wave as he gestured for you to follow her into the kitchen. No, I should be apologising to you. He's like a bull at a gate when he gets his mind set on something, she said. The funny thing is, I was the one who was hell-bent on getting a place to rent, and then he was super chill, and then all of a sudden he's found a place that we're going to buy, you said with surprise. Ray chuckled as she sat down at the table. So, Dabi asked, completely ignoring you two talking about him as he placed his hands on the table and leaned down on it, focusing on his mum. Can you guarantor? I guess I can, but have you gotten yourself a loan yet? How much is the house? Have you signed paperwork? Ray asked Dabi. It's a house. I want it. End of story. That's basically how you got me. You just hung around like a fart until I accepted you. You teased him. You love me, he replied with a smirk. Now hush, I'm doing business with Mama. You crossed your arms with amusement and raised an eyebrow at him. Do Yin's parents know about this? Ray asked, looking at Dabi. No, they don't, he replied from behind him. He just came straight here. I'll have to talk to them then, Ray said, looking past Dabi to you. And there ends chapter 31. Stay tuned for chapter 32 coming tomorrow.